The night sky above Mars was silent, painted with cold stars and red dust storms. Space Command had long stopped expecting miracles. 20 years had passed since Captain Ethan Cole disappeared into the wormhole. His mission had been simple: explore, record, return. But the wormhole had swallowed his ship like a mouth of fire, and every trace of him vanished into darkness. The world mourned him as a hero who never came home. Then, one ordinary night, the silence broke. An old radar on Mars base picked up a strange signal, faint, broken, but human. A technician rubbed his eyes, thinking it was an error. But the voice came again, weak and filled with static. "This is Ethan Cole, requesting permission to dock." Every hand in the control room froze. The name echoed through the hall like a ghost's whisper. "Ethan Cole. Impossible. The wormhole collapsed 20 years ago. His ship, Odyssey 7, was gone. Yet the signal was real, and it was coming from deep space, the same place where the wormhole once burned." Within minutes, alarms rang across the solar network. Earth Command went on full alert. Satellites turned, telescopes focused, and hearts raced. Then, through the blackness of space, something appeared. A small, battered ship moving slowly toward Mars orbit. Its hull was covered in scars and alien markings that glowed faintly blue. The letters Odyssey 7 were still visible beneath layers of cosmic dust. The crew that went missing 2 decades ago was gone. Only Ethan's life signal was detected. When the ship finally landed in the quarantine bay, no one dared approach it at first. It was cold, silent, ancient, like a coffin returning from the stars. Robotic arms scanned it for radiation, pathogens, any sign of danger. Then the airlock opened with a hiss. A figure stepped out. Tall, thin, wearing a torn, faded spacesuit. His face was pale and older, but unmistakable. It was Ethan Cole. He looked around slowly, his eyes confused, as if seeing the world for the first time. "How long have I been gone?" he asked softly. No one answered. Scientists stared at him like he was a ghost. The cameras zoomed in. The world watched through live feeds. The lost astronaut had returned from the dead. Then something moved behind him. 2 tall shapes appeared in the doorway of the ship. Gasps filled the room. They were not human. One was a woman-shaped being, glowing faintly with soft silver light, her skin smooth and bright like liquid glass. The other was darker, made of metallic scales that shimmered under the lights, her eyes burning gold. They looked completely opposite, one calm, one fierce, yet they both reached out toward Ethan like protectors. Security guards raised their weapons. Scientists shouted warnings. But before anyone could act, the glowing woman spoke in a clear, melodic voice that echoed across the bay. "Do not fear. He is our son." The words hit like thunder. The control room erupted in confusion. "Their son?" the commander repeated, stunned. "What does that mean?" Ethan turned around slowly, staring at the 2 alien women. His lips trembled. You came with me?" They nodded, and something like sorrow flashed in their alien eyes. Within minutes, the entire landing bay was sealed. Soldiers surrounded the area, and Ethan was taken for medical testing. The aliens were placed in containment chambers made of reinforced glass, glowing faintly under blue lights. Cameras recorded their every movement. But they didn't fight. They just watched, calm, patient, almost motherly. Meanwhile, the world above went insane. News networks called it the return. Billions tuned in as images of Ethan and the 2 alien women spread across every screen. Some called it a miracle. Others called it an invasion. Back inside the facility, scientists ran every test possible. Ethan's body temperature was normal, but his blood wasn't. It carried traces of unknown proteins, not dangerous, but definitely alien. Yet he felt fine. Stronger even. His memories, though, were shattered. When asked what happened beyond the wormhole, he could only remember fragments. Voices calling his name, a bright world of light and shadow, hands that healed him when he was dying. "I don't remember everything," he said quietly. "But they saved me, I think. They raised me." The scientists exchanged nervous glances. "You mean like parents?" Ethan nodded slowly. "Like mothers." In the glass chamber, the 2 aliens sat close together. The bright one, Alira, pressed her glowing hand against the glass whenever Ethan passed by. The darker one, Sareth, watched every guard carefully, her eyes sharp with protective fire. They never spoke to anyone else. When translators tried to communicate, they refused. until one moment when Elira finally spoke again. "He is not your property," she said. "He belongs to both worlds now." That line spread like wildfire across the world's networks. Debates, fear, hope, everything mixed into one storm. But in the middle of that chaos, something strange happened. Late one night, as Ethan lay in the medical bay, his chest began to glow faintly blue. A small pulse of energy rippled through his veins. Machines around him beeped wildly. His heartbeat synced with a soft hum that no one else could hear. Far across the base, both alien mothers woke up at the same time. Their eyes glowed, one with light, one with metal. They whispered something in their strange language, the same word over and over again: awakening. And in that quiet, mysterious moment, Earth realized Ethan Cole's return was not the end of a story. It was the beginning of something far greater. The world had not slept since Ethan Cole's return. Every news channel showed his pale face and the two alien mothers who called him son. Some people prayed. Others panicked. The governments called it a containment event, but everyone knew something far bigger was happening. At the secret Mars quarantine base, Ethan sat alone in a white room. Cold lights flickered above his head. His hands trembled slightly as he looked at his reflection in the glass wall. He didn't recognize himself anymore. His eyes looked older, tired, but there was something else too. They glowed faintly under the light, like stars trapped inside. Scientists came one by one, asking endless questions. "Do you remember what happened inside the wormhole? Did you see intelligent life? Who are the aliens?" Ethan wanted to answer, but his memories were foggy, broken into small flashes, glowing skies, strange voices, two faces always by his side. Every time he tried to remember, pain burned behind his eyes. He would press his hands to his temples, whispering, "They protected me. They raised me. But I don't know why." The doctors exchanged nervous looks. They had seen his blood reports, and none of it made sense. His cells were healing faster than human biology allowed. His heart rate stayed perfectly steady, even under pressure. But the most shocking thing, he had traces of two alien DNA patterns inside him. The lead scientist, Dr. Hannah Pierce, stared at the data on her screen. "He's not infected," she said slowly. "He's changed." While Ethan was being tested, the two alien mothers were kept in a special containment chamber. The glowing one, Elira, Dawn sat calmly, her hands folded. The darker one, Sareth, paced like a lion in a cage, her metallic skin shimmering in shades of blue and black. Guards surrounded the chamber 24/7, but neither woman seemed afraid. When humans looked into their eyes, they saw something strange, an emotion. It wasn't rage or hate. It was love. Real, deep, protective love. One night, a curious technician named Maya Lynn stayed behind to observe them. As she watched the two aliens silently communicate through gestures and light pulses, Elira suddenly turned her glowing eyes toward the camera. She spoke in perfect English. "You hurt him with your questions. He needs peace." Maya froze. The alien's voice wasn't angry. It was like a mother worried for her child. Before Maya could respond, Sareth stepped closer, her metallic skin rippling. "Your kind fears what it does not understand," she said. "But he is the bridge, the link between your dying world and ours." The words were recorded, but no one could explain how they spoke English. They had never interacted with humans before. When Maya showed the footage to her superiors, they locked it away and told her to keep quiet. Meanwhile, Ethan's condition grew stranger. During a scan, the machines around him began to malfunction. Lights flickered and the heart monitor glowed blue. A small symbol appeared on the screen, the same alien marking carved on his ship. Scientists thought it was a glitch, but Ethan felt it inside him, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. Dr. Pierce tried to stay calm. "Ethan," she said gently, "do you feel anything unusual?" He hesitated. "Sometimes I hear sounds, like a hum or a voice calling my name. It's not English, but somehow, I understand it." The room fell silent. Later that day, the government sent special agents to question him. They didn't care about his memories. They wanted to know if the aliens were a threat. They asked coldly, "Are you working with them? Are you still human?" Ethan clenched his fists. "They saved me," he said firmly. "If they wanted to destroy Earth, they wouldn't have brought me back." The agents didn't believe him. They whispered among themselves, Some wanted to separate him from the aliens permanently. But before they could act, something unexpected happened. In the alien chamber, Elira suddenly stood and pressed her hand to the glass wall. A beam of light flowed from her fingers, forming images in the air. Ethan as a child lying in a pool of glowing water, both mothers watching over him. The images moved like memories, alive and emotional. Ethan's screams turned into laughter, his pain into warmth. The scientists watching were speechless. The aliens weren't lying. They did raise him, but how could that be? Humans don't survive that long in space, Dr. Pierce whispered. They must have rebuilt him, cell by cell. Then, without warning, the light display changed. The glowing images showed a dark planet covered in storms, armies marching, ships rising into space. And above them, a massive black rift, the same wormhole that brought Ethan home. Sareth looked straight into the cameras and spoke. They will follow. They always follow. The control room erupted in panic. The scientists didn't understand what she meant. But Ethan did. He felt a cold shiver run through his body, like something inside him recognized those words. That night, as the base went into lockdown, Ethan stood by his glass window, looking at the stars. Elira and Sareth sat quietly in their cells, both staring at him from afar. Even through the thick glass, he could feel their connection, like invisible threads pulling them together. He placed his hand on the glass. So did they. 3 palms, one human, one of light, one of metal, meeting across barriers. And in that moment, all 3 whispered the same word at once. Home. But before he could rest, a strange sound filled the air, a deep rhythmic pulse coming from inside his chest. Machines around him beeped. The alien symbol on the screen began to glow brighter, spreading lines of energy through the walls. The guard shouted. Scientists rushed in, but Ethan was frozen, his eyes glowing bright blue. Somewhere far beyond the stars, something heard that signal. Something was coming. Ethan couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw flashes, light and shadow, fire and water, 2 faces watching over him. The sound of the humming inside his chest was getting louder, like a heartbeat that didn't belong to him. The doctor said it was just stress, but deep down he knew it was something else. A call from somewhere far away. That night, while the base outside slept under Mars's cold red sky, Ethan sat on his bed, staring at his trembling hands. Then suddenly the lights flickered. His room darkened and the walls around him began to blur. For a moment he thought he was dreaming, but then he wasn't in his room anymore. He was standing on a beach made of silver sand. 2 suns burned above him, one golden, one blue. The air shimmered with strange energy. Towers of crystal rose in the distance and rivers of light flowed through the ground like veins. The sky was alive, painted with glowing creatures that floated like jellyfish. It was beautiful, and it felt familiar. Then he saw them. 2 figures walking toward him, Elira and Sareth. But they were different here. Elira glowed brighter, her body almost transparent, her eyes like gentle stars. Sareth's skin gleamed like polished metal, strong but graceful. They smiled when they saw him. You have returned to memory, Elira said softly. You must remember who you are, Sareth added. Ethan tried to speak, but his voice shook. What is this place? Elira touched his forehead. Your home for many years. And suddenly the memories flooded back. He remembered the crash. His ship had torn apart when the wormhole exploded. He had been thrown into the void, his suit breaking, oxygen running out. He remembered choking, freezing, and then light. A hand of pure light reaching out and pulling him into warmth. That hand was Elira's. She had found him on her planet, Rion, a world of peace and healing. Her people, the Luma, were beings of energy and compassion. They had no war, no greed, only balance. Elira took him to her home, healed his wounds, and taught him to breathe in a new atmosphere. But he wasn't alone for long. One day the sky over Rion burned red. Ships descended from the clouds, mere black, sharp, metallic. The Kryn had arrived, led by their fierce matriarch, Sareth. They were warriors, born in a world of storms and iron. For thousands of years, their people fought the Luma, light versus steel. When Sareth's forces invaded Rion, she found Elira hiding Ethan in a healing chamber. She could have destroyed them both. But when she saw the dying human, fragile, broken, yet alive, Something inside her changed. "This creature fights to breathe," she said. "He does not surrender. I will not kill him." Instead of fighting, Elira and Sereth worked together to save him. It was the first time their two races ever cooperated. They used both their powers, light and metal, to rebuild his broken body. Elira gave him her energy. Sereth gave him her strength. When Ethan woke up, he wasn't the same. His blood shimmered faintly. His wounds healed in seconds. His eyes reflected both suns. He was no longer fully human. As time passed, the two alien women grew closer, not as enemies, but as protectors of the same child. They taught him both ways. Elira taught him kindness, empathy, and creation. Sereth taught him courage, logic, and survival. He learned their languages, their customs, their stories. He was raised between light and steel. And they called him Atan, a name that meant the bridge. But the peace didn't last. The Kryn Empire discovered what Sereth had done, that she had merged her essence with a being of light and a human. They saw it as betrayal. The war reignited stronger than before. Elira's people were hunted. Sereth's forces turned on her. To protect Ethan, the two mothers created a secret chamber deep beneath Rion's surface, a sanctuary powered by both their energies. But even there, the war reached them. The planet began to die. "You must return to your world," Elira said, her voice trembling. "It is the only way both our races can survive." "They will follow you," Sereth warned. "You carry our essence. You are the key. And the weapon." Ethan remembered standing between them as the chamber filled with light. He didn't want to leave. They were his family, his mother's. But they pressed their hands to his chest and he felt the same hum he now heard in his sleep. "This will protect you," Elira whispered. "And one day awaken you," Sereth said. Then everything turned white. When Ethan opened his eyes again, he was back in the Mars facility. The vision faded. The silver sand, the twin suns, the faces of his mothers, and all gone. But his body felt different. His heart was racing, his veins glowing faintly blue and silver. The machines in the room went wild, screens flashing symbols from the alien world. Alarms rang. Guards rushed in, shouting his name. But Ethan just stood there, breathing heavily, whispering one word under his breath. "Rion?" Dr. Hannah Pierce came running. "Ethan, what happened?" He looked at her, eyes glowing softly with two colors, blue and gold. "I remember everything," he said quietly. "They saved me. They made me, and now they're in danger." The room fell silent. Outside in their glass cells, both Elira and Sereth looked up at the same moment, as if they had heard him from miles away. Their eyes glowed brighter than ever. The connection between them had awakened again. And for the first time since his return, Ethan realized the truth. He wasn't just a man who came back from space. He was the living bridge between three worlds, Earth, Rion, and whatever war was coming next. For the first time since his return, Ethan Cole felt truly awake. His memories were no longer scattered. They were clear and burning inside his mind like a second sun. He remembered the twin worlds, the two mothers who saved him, and the promise they made before sending him back through the wormhole. But along with the memories came something else, a signal. It began as a soft hum inside his chest, but within hours it became a rhythmic pulse like a beacon calling out into the void. Machines in the Mars facility picked it up, though no one could explain it. The frequency wasn't human, wasn't alien, it was both. Dr. Hannah Pierce watched the monitors as strange symbols scrolled across the screens. The same patterns appeared again and again, glowing, shifting shapes that resembled words but in no known language. "It's not random," she whispered. "It's a message." When they isolated the sound, they discovered something terrifying. The signal wasn't just broadcasting locally. It was transmitting outward, far into space, through frequencies no human technology could reach. Someone, or something, out there was listening. Ethan sat silently as soldiers and scientists argued around him. Some wanted to shut down his chamber, others wanted to dissect the alien code. But Ethan's heart told him what was really happening. The message wasn't coming from him. It was coming through him. He could feel Elira and Sereth's energy inside his veins, whispering in two voices, one soft and warm, the other strong and metallic. "You are the key," Elira's voice said. "You are the proof," Sereth's echoed. Late that night, as everyone left the lab, Ethan stood by the glass wall separating him from his alien mothers. The lights were dim. The air was heavy. He pressed his hand against the glass and both of them did the same from the other side. For a few seconds the humming stopped, replaced by silence that felt alive. Then Elira spoke, her voice calm but heavy with sorrow. "The message has reached the stars. The fleets will come," Ethan's breath caught. "What fleets?" Sareth's eyes glowed with a faint orange light. "The Kryn Empire and the Luma Council. Both are searching for you. You are the last link between them. They will not stop until they find you." The words hit Ethan like a wave of cold water. "Why? I don't understand." "Why am I so important?" Elira stepped forward, her face glowing softly. "Because you are the only proof that peace is possible. You carry both our blood. Your existence breaks the law of our stars," Sareth added, her metallic voice trembling slightly. "Our people believe mixing light and steel is forbidden. You were never meant to exist, and yet you do. You are hope for some, and a weapon for others." Ethan's head spun. He stepped back, shaking. "You sent me back here to Earth to protect me?" Elira nodded slowly. "Yes, but the war followed. The message inside you awakened when you returned home. Now both sides are coming, not to destroy you, but to claim you." Meanwhile, Earth Command intercepted a strange transmission from deep space. It wasn't human, but it mentioned Ethan Cole's name in their own digital code. The signal was moving fast, carried by massive ships hidden behind the sun. The president demanded answers. The generals demanded control. Within hours, the Mars base turned into a fortress. Every door was locked, every scientist replaced by military guards. Ethan was no longer a guest, he was a prisoner. When Dr. Pierce tried to speak with him, soldiers blocked her. "Orders from the top," one said coldly. "The subject is classified." But that night she sneaked into Ethan's room anyway. He was sitting in the dark, his eyes glowing faintly. He looked lost. "They're afraid of me," he whispered. "No," she said softly. "They're afraid of what you represent." Ethan looked up. "You mean the truth?" Dr. Pierce nodded. "If you are the bridge between two alien races, then everything changes. Science, religion, politics. They can't control that." Before Ethan could reply, alarms blared across the base. Red lights flashed. A voice shouted over the intercom. "Unidentified signal detected approaching Mars orbit." Everyone ran to the control room. On the main screen, a massive object appeared near the old wormhole's coordinates. It wasn't a meteor or debris. It was a ship, bigger than any human vessel, glowing with both silver and black light. Elira and Sareth pressed their hands against their glass cells, whispering urgently in their native tongues. Their bodies glowed brighter, Elira like a star, Sareth like molten metal. "They found us," Elira said. "No," Sareth corrected. "They found him." Ethan watched the screen as the ship slowly unfolded like a flower of light and steel. Energy fields shimmered across its surface. Then a beam of light shot toward the Mars base, forming a circle of symbols in the sky. It wasn't an attack. It was a message. Dr. Pierce decoded it in seconds. The words on the screen read, "Return the child of light and steel. He belongs to the stars." The room went silent. Earth's generals shouted orders. Missiles were armed. Defense systems powered up. But Ethan stood frozen, his heart beating in rhythm with the glowing circle in the sky. The pulse in his chest returned, faster, stronger. He could feel the message answering back through him. He wasn't just the messenger. He was the signal itself. "Stop!" Ethan shouted. "If you attack, they'll see it as war." But no one listened. The countdown to launch began. Elira screamed in her alien voice and Sareth slammed her hands against the glass so hard it cracked. And as the first missile launched toward the sky, the alien ship responded, opening like a gate. The wormhole reappeared, brighter and larger than before. Swirling like a storm ready to swallow the world. Ethan's eyes widened in horror. He whispered, "It's starting again." And the light consumed everything. The wormhole burned like a wound in the sky, twisting above Mars in colors no human eyes had ever seen. Red alarms flashed through the base and soldiers shouted over the rising roar. Everyone thought the same thing. The invasion had begun. Ethan stood frozen, the pulse in his chest beating like thunder. The glow beneath his skin spread to his hands, blue and silver veins of light crawling up his arms. The machines around him exploded with sparks. He fell to his knees, gripping his chest as if trying to hold something inside. "It's responding to the wormhole," Dr. Hannah Pierce shouted. "He's connected to it." But before anyone could help, the floor shook. A wave of energy from the wormhole struck the base. Lights shattered. The air turned hot, humming with strange power. Through the chaos, the alien mothers, Alira and Sareth, broke free from their glass cells. Alira stepped through the shattered wall of her chamber, glowing brighter than the emergency lights. Her presence made the air shimmer. Sareth followed, her metallic body shifting and reforming with every movement, breaking through steel doors like paper. The guards aimed their weapon, but Alira raised her hand, and every bullet stopped midair, frozen in blue light. Sareth swung her arm and the metal rifles bent like clay. "We come for our son," Sareth said in a voice that shook the room. Ethan, barely conscious, looked up and saw them. For a moment, everything, the chaos, the alarms, the fear, disappeared. He saw not monsters, but the same two faces that had watched over him when he was weak, broken, and lost among the stars. "Mother," he whispered. Alira knelt beside him, touching his forehead. Her light flowed into his skin, calming the pain. "You must leave this place," she said softly. "They will not understand you." Sareth helped him stand, her hands strong and steady. "The humans fear what they cannot control. You must survive." Dr. Pierce appeared behind them, trembling but determined. "Wait, you can't just run, they'll hunt you down." Sareth turned to her, eyes sharp as blades. "Then you must help us." There was silence. The alarm screamed in the background. Hannah looked at Ethan, this boy who wasn't just human anymore, and she nodded. "Follow me." She led them through dark tunnels under the base, emergency lights flashing red on the walls. Ethan stumbled, his vision flickering between two realities, the cold steel hallways of Mars and the warm, glowing sands of Rion. He heard whispers in his mind, thousands of voices speaking in harmony, calling his name. Ethan, the bridge, the chosen link. Every step made the pulse in his chest stronger. He could feel the wormhole pulling at him, calling him home. At the surface, the wind screamed across the Martian desert. Drones hovered in the sky, scanning for movement. The wormhole's light painted everything in ghostly blue. Alira shielded them with a dome of energy, her glow flickering with every hit from the drone's beams. Sareth threw shards of metal into the air, slicing the machines apart with deadly precision. Hannah ran ahead, shouting, "This way! There's an old transport tunnel that leads to the canyon ridge." They sprinted through the dust storm, chased by explosions. Ethan's lungs burned, his vision blurred, but his body refused to give up. It was like his mother's power was keeping him alive. When they reached the canyon, Hannah entered a code into a hidden panel. The ground opened, revealing an underground hangar, an old escape shuttle forgotten by time. "It still works," she said. "I used to service it before they closed this base." Ethan looked at her with tired eyes. "You're risking everything," she smiled faintly. "Maybe some things are worth it." But before they could enter, a loud roar shook the ground. From the shadows, soldiers appeared, armored and ready. Their leader stepped forward, a tall man with cold eyes and a voice full of authority. "Ethan Cole," he said. "You are under arrest by order of the Global Defense Council," Sareth growled, her metallic body forming sharp blades. "They will not take him." Alira placed a hand on her shoulder. "No, enough blood." She turned to the soldiers. "If you kill him, you kill your only hope." The commander laughed bitterly. "Hope? You brought an alien war to our planet. You're the threat." Before he could fire, Ethan stepped forward. His voice was soft but carried like thunder. "Stop!" The glow in his chest burst outward, forming a wave of light that pushed everyone back. Guns flew from hands, metal bent and twisted in the air. The soldiers froze, staring at him in shock. "I don't want to fight," Ethan said, "but I won't let you hurt them." The ground trembled again. The wormhole was expanding, now big enough to swallow half the horizon. Winds howled and lightning ripped across the sky. Hannah shouted, "We have to go now!" Sareth grabbed Ethan's arm, pulling him toward the shuttle. Alira raised her hands to hold back a blast of debris from the sky. Her light was fading. They climbed into the shuttle as the base behind them exploded. The engines roared to life, and with one last look at the burning horizon, Ethan whispered, "Goodbye, Mars." The shuttle shot upward, vanishing into the clouds, heading straight toward the wormhole's edge. Inside, as the stars stretched and twisted outside the window, Ethan looked at his mothers, one of light, one of steel. If we go through again, he said, what will happen to me? Alira looked at him gently. You will become what you were meant to be. Sareth added quietly, and the stars will finally choose. The wormhole's light grew stronger, filling the cabin with blinding radiance. Ethan closed his eyes, the pulse in his chest merging with its rhythm. And as they entered the storm once more, Earth behind them vanished into silence, but this time, Ethan wasn't running from the past, he was flying straight toward his destiny. The wormhole was not just light, it was alive. As the shuttle entered the storm, space twisted and stretched. Colors danced like living fire. Ethan's body felt weightless, his heartbeat syncing with the pulse of the wormhole itself. Alira and Sareth stood beside him, one glowing like a sun, the other reflecting light like forged steel. Outside, the stars bent into spirals. Inside, Ethan heard whispers, voices from both alien worlds calling his name across the cosmos. Aton. Bridge, return. Then the shuttle burst through the other side. They were no longer near Mars. Before them floated two enormous planets, circling each other like dancers, one bright and crystal blue, the other dark and covered in storms. Between them, thousands of ships filled the sky, massive fleets of light and metal facing each other across the void. The war had begun. Alira placed her hand on the window, her face filled with sorrow. The Luma and the Kryn, she whispered. Our worlds are ready to destroy each other. Sareth's metallic eyes glowed red. They were always ready. But now they have a reason. Him. Ethan stared at the fleets in shock. Each ship was bigger than a city, powered by energy that could shatter moons. The space between them was electric. One wrong move and a galaxy could burn. We have to stop them, Ethan said. Before they destroy everything. Sareth turned to him. You cannot stop a storm by standing in its path. But I can remind it of what it's fighting for, he replied. The shuttle's systems beeped. A message came through, not in human language, but Ethan somehow understood it. The Kryn Empire had detected them. Dozens of ships began to move, forming a circle around the shuttle. They're locking on us, Sareth warned. If we make a wrong move, they'll vaporize this vessel. A deep voice filled the cabin, booming through the comms. Sareth of Kryn, you betrayed your empire. Hand over the hybrid child and your death will be merciful. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. Hybrid child. The words sounded like a curse. Sareth looked out at the warships, her expression hard. They will not take you. Before she could act, Alira raised her hand. Wait. Violence will not save him. The two alien mothers looked at each other, light and metal, opposites bound by love. Ethan saw their pain and stepped between them. No more fighting, he said. Not between you, not between them. I'll go, both shouted at once. No! But it was too late. The shuttle shook as a tractor beam pulled it toward the largest ship. Inside its glowing metal halls, thousands of Kryn soldiers waited. Silent, armed, and watching. Ethan walked forward with his head held high. The air was heavy, the ground vibrating with mechanical hums. At the far end stood the Kryn warlord, towering and clad in living armor. So, the warlord growled, this is the creature that breaks our laws of creation. A being made of both light and steel. Ethan stayed calm. I didn't choose to be created. I just survived. The warlord's golden eyes narrowed. You are an infection. You weaken the purity of our race. Before Ethan could respond, the doors behind opened. Alira entered, glowing so bright the soldiers shielded their eyes. Sareth followed, her steps heavy with defiance. He is our son, Alira said. And your war is destroying the stars. The warlord roared, striking the floor with his weapon. Then let it burn. Ethan's chest began to glow again, brighter this time, pulsing in rhythm with the two planets outside. The energy inside him surged, connecting to something vast and ancient. Suddenly the entire ship trembled. Lights flickered, drifting through space outside every ship. Luma and Kryn stopped moving. The crews stared at their monitors in disbelief. Their systems were receiving the same signal from an unknown source. It was Ethan's heartbeat. A voice echoed across every channel, in every tongue. Not mechanical, not alien, but human. Stop fighting. You're not enemies. You're family. On both planets, people looked to the sky, hearing the same words in their own languages. The message wasn't just sound, it was emotion. flowing directly into their minds. Elira fell to her knees, tears of light rolling down her cheeks. Sereth, for the first time, looked afraid.
He's unlocking the bridge, Elira whispered.
The one that joins both energies. Outside, the fleets began to merge. The blue light of the Luma and the black glow of the Kryn intertwined like two rivers. The wormhole above them expanded again, turning gold and silver. The energy created a storm that bent reality itself. The warlord shouted in rage and fired his weapon. But the beam never reached Ethan. Sereth stepped in front of him, absorbing the shot with her metallic body. The impact threw her back, her armor cracking. "Mother!" Ethan cried, catching her as she fell. Her voice was weak but steady. "Do not stop now, my son. Show them what you are." Elira knelt beside them, her hands glowing brighter, merging her light with Sereth's strength. Together, their energies flowed into Ethan, surrounding him with brilliant light. The glow spread outward, washing across the Kryn ship, then the fleets, then the entire sky. The wormhole stopped spinning and became calm, a shining bridge between both worlds. When the light faded, silence filled space. The ships powered down. The war stopped. Ethan floated in the center of it all, surrounded by a peaceful glow. His voice echoed softly, carried by the stars. "The war is over. There's no light without shadow, and no steel without fire. You need each other." For the first time in centuries, both empires listened. The Luma and Kryn leaders appeared in the sky, projected by their ships. Neither spoke. They simply bowed their heads. Ethan looked down at his two mothers. Elira was fading into soft particles of light. Sereth's body was turning to silver dust. "No," Ethan whispered. "Don't leave me." Elira smiled faintly. "We never will. You are both of us, and more." Sereth reached out her hand, touching his cheek one last time. "Our son." The bridge between stars. Then they were gone, their energies flowing into him, leaving behind only peace and silence. The fleets slowly drifted apart, no longer enemies, just survivors of a war that almost ended everything. Ethan floated alone in space, glowing faintly, half light, half steel, and all human. And for the first time, the galaxy was quiet. Silence. That was all that remained after the storm. The great fleets of light and steel, once enemies, now floated quietly across the black ocean of space. The wormhole that had ripped the skies apart had closed at last, leaving behind a calm golden glow, like the scar of a healed wound. In the middle of it all drifted a single figure, Ethan Cole, the man who had been lost to the stars and returned with two alien mothers. His body glowed faintly, a perfect balance of blue and silver. His heart still beat, but it no longer sounded like just a human rhythm. It was deeper, like the echo of two worlds breathing together. He opened his eyes slowly. The stars looked different now, clearer, brighter, alive. He could feel them, but when he turned, the space beside him was empty. Elira and Sereth were gone. "Mother?" he whispered. His voice broke in the silence. Only starlight answered. Then faintly, he felt warmth spread through his chest, two heartbeats overlapping his own. He looked down and saw a soft pattern glowing under his skin, one side shaped like Elira's symbol of light, the other like Sereth's emblem of steel. Their voices echoed inside him, gentle and eternal. "We are not gone, our son. We live in you. You are the bridge now, our promise made flesh." Tears rolled down Ethan's face, floating away into the void. He wasn't alone. He never would be. Below him, the twin planets of Rion and Krynos turned slowly in the same orbit. For the first time in history, their skies were calm. No weapons, no fleets, and only silence and light. From both worlds, messages began to rise, but not of war, but of gratitude. Voices from two civilizations that had hated each other for centuries now spoke his name. Eton, the bridge. The child of two worlds. The one who healed the sky. Ethan watched as ships from both sides moved closer, not for battle, but for peace. They carried envoys, scientists, children, the beginning of something new. He wanted to go to them, but a soft voice interrupted his thoughts. It was Dr. Hannah Pierce calling from the small human shuttle still orbiting above Rion. "Ethan." "Can you hear me?" He smiled faintly. "I can." Her voice trembled with emotion. "Earth is watching. The signal from your body, and it's everywhere. Every screen, every transmission. People saw what you did. He looked at the distant blue glow of Earth, small and fragile among the stars. Do they understand? Hannah paused. I think they're trying to. For a moment, Ethan said nothing. Then he whispered, Tell them I wasn't a hero. I was just a son who didn't want his mothers to die for nothing. Hannah's voice broke. They'll remember you, Ethan. Forever. He smiled, closing his eyes. All around him, fragments of the broken fleets drifted through space. The wreckage of war became something beautiful, fields of glowing metal and light that slowly joined together, forming bridges between the two worlds below. Elira's energy and Sereth's metal, fusing into shining pathways that connected entire planets. They're rebuilding, Ethan said softly. Just like we did. He turned toward Earth one last time. Its blue light shimmered through the distance. Home, the place that gave him life. He remembered his first breath in a spacesuit, his first mission, his first dream to explore the unknown. And now he had brought the unknown home. He whispered quietly, almost to himself, I'm human, but I'm also more, and maybe that's what humanity was always meant to be. The stars around him pulsed as if answering his thought. As he drifted above the twin worlds, a golden aura surrounded him. It grew brighter, forming a vast image of his body across the sky, a symbol seen by every living being below. The image spoke no words, but every heart understood. The war was over. Years passed. On Rion and Krenos, a great monument was built in orbit, a shining station called the Bridge of Light and Steel. At its center stood a statue of Ethan, arms raised toward the stars. Beneath it were carved words in 3 languages, human, Luma and Kryn. He was not born of one world, but of all. And far beyond the monument, on a quiet moon orbiting Earth, a small recording played endlessly in a memorial hall. It was Ethan's last transmission. If one human can love 2 alien mothers, then maybe one day all worlds can learn to love each other too. Visitors from 3 galaxies came to listen. Some cried. Some prayed. Others just stood in silence, staring at the stars. Because now, whenever they looked into the night sky, they didn't just see stars. They saw Ethan Cole, the lost astronaut who crossed the universe, who carried peace in his heart and whose light still shone across the endless dark. He was gone from sight. But his voice still echoed in every living thing. We are not meant to conquer the stars, it whispered. We are meant to connect them. And in that eternal whisper, humanity finally understood what it meant to be home.